Hey, this is Bob with another video again. More stuff I do in my shop that might help you. If you've already done this stuff, then ignore this, because some of this is pretty simple, but when you're in a small shop, everything matters. When I got this lathe, this jib was 4/1000 out of flat. Had a bow in it. So I took a file in about 2 hours and I filed the whole thing down, got it flat. It was beautiful, nice, perfect. I went in and it stuck out the back about 2 inches, so that's no good. So I needed a new jib. So I ordered a jib from Grizzly, and this huge thing comes. This is just, I mean, it's enormous. It's for down here or even bigger. So I called the tech line. They said, this is how they come. This is the only size you get. You got to machine it. And I don't have a sign table to get this angle right. So what I had to do was just simple, just a parallel, strapped it to the parallel, clamp, mill, and then move the clamps, and that was it. But the hard part was getting the angle. I had to take gauge blocks and slide it up underneath, and it took quite a while. And then after I did it, I put it in, and it came out perfect, I think. It's pretty good. This isn't hard to turn. I can't feel anything. I'm not getting anything on the indicator, so I think that's pretty good. But then I thought, if I have to do this again, or if I want to redo this because it's almost out of adjustment, it's all the way out here, but it's still in adjustment, but it's just about out. So I got another one, or I got two actually, because I realized you can reverse them and mill there, and now you're milling a parallel flat. You clamp it right to the table, it cancels each other out. So if you got to do a jib, make sure you get two of them. This setup would have been so much faster. Secondly, the adjustment screws in here were getting tight. I had to go in there with this because they get about halfway down the travel and lock up. So when you get one of these, pull all these out, make sure they travel all the way to the bottom smoothly and back out. It's just a little bit of work to get the casting out of the way. Just very little, but it was enough. It wasn't going in, it was jamming. Okay, now the next thing, and move the camera, is I've redone this. On my other video, I had a piece on here and I could write on it and it worked fine, but it wore out. So I looked around, I found this on Amazon. It's solid. You can write on both sides. The other side has lines. And I just took a hinge that I got on eBay, a couple of magnets, and double-sided tape on the back here. So now you can pick it up and write on it. It's more comfortable. And I'll try to remember to put this number so you can order this on Amazon. If I forget, just ask me in the comments. I read all the comments. I only get like 2 or 3, but I read them. And if you need any of this stuff, I can try and direct you to it. Now, next is all of this. You've probably got all this stuff. Parts, all kinds of parts in boxes. I found out that these shells right here are made for VHS tapes, and they're the perfect size. So I mounted those, put that up there, and then of course you pull one down, you gotta look through it. You gotta have a place to set it down. I had no place to set it down. So I had this machine here, little horizontal mill. I put a table on here, and with one screw, it comes off. I don't use this machine that much, but now you pull it down, you set it right here, you go through it, and then you put it back, and that works out really good. And it's quick to get off of there. This is, you know, you might look at this and say, well, this is really menial and silly. But when you're walking around the shop, I don't go all the way across the shop to take one of these to get one screw or nut out, and I do that a few times a day. This helps a lot. It's just a little table. Okay, now the next thing, and now I'm back to the knife sharpening. I added something, this is on a previous video also, the knife sharpening, but I added this to drag your hand along as you're sharpening it, and I put this low friction tape on the edge. It works really good. This was Amazon. It was on one of my previous videos, and the drag coefficient or what have you is just so smooth. It's great. So you put your hand on here, and you can very easily, I use it for welding too, but that helps this setup here. Of course, once you know you got the laser, then you know right where to put the blade on the curve to get your edge right. Okay, now I want to show you the splinter center. Everybody needs one of these. This, I got at Amazon. It's just it's a loop, but I pulled it apart. It's quality. It's a good quality loop. It's high magnification. It's all glass. It comes apart. I drilled and threaded it, put a post on it, so now I can use this indicator holder, which was spare, and this holds it, right? Now you got a light, you got to have a light, and then you can go here with your tweezers, and you can see what you're doing and grab it. It works really good. Problem is, if it's on your foot, you're gonna have to put this on the floor somehow. But when you use this, you got to be right on it. You can't go back here and go like this. It doesn't work. You got to be right on top of the thing. But I'm always getting slivers in here, metal slivers, and I've used it probably a half a dozen times in the last 2 weeks. So this is a must. Just an old indicator holder. This guy, you modify it, or another one naturally, but this is a must in the shop. Okay, now I'm going to show you something I found online. It was a little expensive, but it works really good with a little modification. This is a magnet base. They're switchable, neodymium, 4 of them. They each have a lever on them here. These are just welding squares that they mounted this in. But then there's 2 T-slots here and here. So I had to make a plate, a steel plate with 4 holes that lines up with the T-slots. Cut the ears off here because these had big ears on it. So you got a plate on there, and then you got a bolt wherever you have to bolt naturally. One is in here, one's over there. But what I want to show you is, while I had made this, I put an extra tab on the front. And that tab is for this. You take this guy here. Now you put that against there, and now you get your whole set. And I got a little hammer here for, you know, because I used to have a micrometer table, but it was too heavy for the table. It absorbed too much room. So you tap it around, put this against there, and now you're good. Now, naturally, if it's anything over like a 1/2 inch, I do it in the mill. I wouldn't do it in here, and the mill is completely clamped. But the majority of my drilling is small, and this works good. Once again, it's a little pricey, but you can put it anywhere you want. And then I found these 15 by 20 rubber sealants for an oven, and I stuffed them in the cracks so your chips don't go down there. It's easy to clean. All right. I'm always trying to save room in the shop. So I had all these rulers, and I had them on these magnets, and they were about this long, and I had them all up along here, and it got just crowded. I didn't like it. So now you can get a lot on this if you put them upwise like this. Those are old parallels, and you put these between the parallels. If you put them flat, you couldn't put that many on here. And this is the only room I got for this right now, so everything goes out. But you take some old parallels or some old metal stock, and now you got room for way more than they were intended for. You got to go kind of slow. If you go over here kind of rambunctiously and grab one, you'll drop another one. But you're careful, it works good. All right. I made another tray with these little wheels. This was a sign, a street sign, and these are good to use. Don't steal them, but you find them around. They're 70 series. They're tempered the tempered aluminum. My dog's in the way. Tempered aluminum, and they're very stiff. So I put 6 of these. These came Amazon. They were cheap as it was, like 12 of them for $20 or something. And once again, under the bench, we found some room. And that seems to work pretty good. Okay, I wanted to show you this chart I found. It took a long time to find this chart. I wanted to get standard, fractional, and metric. Now, you get this guy here, we don't have metric anywhere. This is a new chart. I like the chart. It's got all the threading information, what have you, but it didn't have metric. So I kept looking, and I found this. Let's see if this will focus on it. It's not wanting to focus because it's glass, but it has everything. It's got standard metric, and the metric it has I don't know if I can do this. It goes down to, that's not going to work. Okay, it goes down to point something, 7.7, 7.8, 7.9. It does the points. Now that doesn't do you any good unless you have drill bits for it, if you need that. So over here we have the drill bits that go with it. These were, again, a little pricey, but what you have here is you have the points. 10.5, 9.5, 2.2. I mean, it's just, everything is here. So every single hole, every single measurement on here is a hole that you got a drill bit for now. And that's a lot, because once you throw this into the mix, along with your standard 118 set, you've got pretty much every size hole up until you'd need to use a boring head or a boring bar or something like that. So this chart is really good, and I put glass over it because I want to save it. Plus, you gotta write a check or something. You gotta write on something. It's a good smooth surface. Can't write on this. One more thing that I found, if you look up here, is this ruler. This is adhesive. I got it at American Science and Surplus. They have all surplus stuff. And I stuck one here for when you're working here at the bench. You go, you know, is this 4 inches? You put it up here. You don't have to get a ruler over here. You put it right up here. And what works really good is down here where my scrap is, where I pull my scrap out, you got another one right here. So there's your measurements. And then of course, you got a magnet to find out if it's stainless or not. And I got a couple of these. I got another one that I put where the other stock is. So any place you keep your stock, you can put one of these little rulers, and it's extremely handy. You know, you're not getting exact size, you're just getting big enough. So you get big enough, and then you go exact size with a regular ruler or something else. And the last thing, I think it's the last thing, is neodymium magnets and hammers. I got all my hammers up with magnets. Some of them come with an adhesive pad, and another one here. So you work on the bench, you go, there's your hammer. And there's even good enough to put a big one up here. They're not cheap, but they last forever, these magnets. And then if you've got an overhead on your bench like this or something similar, of course you can store so much stuff here. But anyway, neodymium iron boron magnets. N52 is the strongest. That's what I always try and get. And they are a godsend around the shop. Yeah, a brass one won't work like that, so you gotta set it down. Thank you.